to infinity and beyond.
Everybody, it's Roger and James here from Infinity and Beyond, your daily Disney video game podcast. But in this one, we're going to be talking about, we're going to be flipping over to the DC side and to the arch villains over there at Injustice 2, which is going to be launching on May 16th in the US and May 19th here in the UK. Warner Brothers have announced the brand new DLC, what's going to be included. The first 3 characters from 9 DLC characters. So they've announced Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat, and they've also announced Red Hood, and finally the was it Starfire or
Starfire?
Yeah, yes. Starfire. Which I was instantly going over the Marvel side there and thinking, wasn't that one of Spider-Man's amazing friends?
That's Firestar, yeah.
Firestar.
And they have very similar power sets, although their backgrounds are very different. So
yeah. So it's like Man Super. I don't know, but
yeah, so, it's Swamp Thing versus Man Thing.
Yeah. So this one here, so they've announced the first 3 characters from their DLC. There's going to be 9 different characters for Injustice 2. If you buy the Deluxe Edition, you get these 3 included. If you buy the Ultimate Edition, you get all 9 included. Or if you just buy the standard version, you get none of them, but you do get a special Dark Side pre-order bonus. This is kind of this odd one. They haven't announced when they're coming out, how much they're going to be, or anything like that. So definitely in the minute, I think it's more about trying to sell those Deluxe Editions and the Ultimate Editions of the game for launch. There's also some extra bonus skins and stuff, and we got to see a trailer of those characters and stuff. But what did you think of this when you first saw it?
Honestly, a little bit meh. So as a Teen Titans fan, I'm absolutely going to get Starfire at some point. She's one of my favorite characters in the DC, so I'll pick her up for sure. Red Hood, I'm assuming this is the Jason Todd version of Red Hood and not the Joker version, which means it's a Bat character. Don't really honestly care so much. It's definitely not one that I would have picked necessarily, although his power set does lend itself to the game.
Yeah.
And then Sub-Zero, I'm just like, I absolutely don't care at all about Sub-Zero. If this was a Mortal Kombat game, I'd be like, yes, I like Sub-Zero. He's one of my favorite characters in Mortal Kombat. I have zero interest in seeing him in Injustice.
I'll be honest, I'm actually the entirely opposite direction on this.
That's pretty fine.
Because for me, Sub-Zero is the one that's like, I know, and it's like, it's like, oh, cool, Mortal Kombat. I haven't had haven't played Mortal Kombat in years. Sub-Zero was always my favorite character from the original game. I always, him, Reptile, and Scorpion, those were the main characters I always used to love. So I probably will pick that up. Starfire, I've really got no real knowledge of her at all. Very,
But yeah. It's actually kind of ironic, the timing of this, because I've actually just started reading the new Teen Titans, the classic stories from the 80s. They've been releasing these on trade paperbacks. I got the rest of them up here. And so I've really been developing an attachment for a lot of the characters in the series. You got Raven, Starfire, the original Robin, guys like these. So, yeah, when they announced Starfire, first I was disappointed that she's not actually just a regular member of the cast. Kind of annoyed that she's DLC, but I understand why. But, yeah, ultimately I'm kind of like, we don't know the pricing on these. We know, obviously, the pricing for the Ultimate Edition and the Premium Edition and all that stuff, but we don't know what the DLC individual pricing, we don't know what the Season Pass pricing is, and that's really going to be the make or break for me.
Yeah, I mean, for me, again, the DLC was like not really knowing who these characters were in advance. There was a massive leap between the Standard Edition and the Ultimate Edition, because for me it was like, well, there's no point me doing the Deluxe Edition because if I'm jumping in, I might as well jump all the way in. But also, I mean, I got like a special discount over at Amazon. I've pre-ordered Injustice 2 for like £35 for the basic model, and I'm like, I'll be honest, once I've kind of gone through the main story, I won't return. I'm not a competitive player. I'm not interested in online play. I'm literally there for the story because I like the first one and I like DC characters. So for me, it's like the story mode is what I'm interested in. And I thought, for the price I'm getting it, that's good for me. That's a nice sort of cool way of doing it. So the DLC was a bit different. There was like an image in the background of some like silhouettes. You could make out Raiden from Mortal Kombat as well.
Right.
There was also, I think it's like a mantis. Obviously not the one from the Guardians of the Galaxy, but the one that Prey Mantis. I don't know what one it is. And there was a few other characters which very, very vague. They could easily go either way. So I'm a little bit like, don't necessarily think it's too easy to do it. But again, that Raiden was a kind of the one that kind of stood out because of his hat.
Right. I mean, and Raiden is one of the very well known Mortal Kombat characters. It's not like they're picking one of the, the more, for non Mortal Kombat fans, one of the more obscure characters, such as like the gunslinger character whose name escapes me, or guys like that. They're picking the identifiable ones, which makes sense.
I was instantly kind of going back, like I said, I remembered obviously the three characters that all looked identical, and Raiden, and then there was like, what was it, the Bruce Lee character, and then we had Jax, was it, like with the big metal arms? Was it Sonya? I don't think I've played a Mortal Kombat since like Mortal Kombat 2. I don't think so.
Right.
I'm instantly going back to my childhood of, because Mortal Kombat was one of those cool games of. It came out. It was like one of the first games that had a rated on it, and I do remember my mum. We were in Blockbuster and asking them, and it was like they did an age check because I think I was only about 14, 15, and I was like, "Yeah, it's a game." What? It's like, what? No, it's just got blood, mum, and you can turn the option off.
Yeah,
I never did.
Of course not. So I'm actually looking at the image right now, the leaked image, and so Raiden's definitely on the right side, and that is. Probably who you were talking about here was Black Manta.
Yeah.
On the left side is an Aquaman villain, a very distinctive profile, and that's definitely him. That's another character I'm actually surprised is not actually in the main game, because he is Aquaman's primary opponent, his arch nemesis character. And the Injustice, at least the first one, and so far from what we've seen in the second one, they're really trying to put, hero, main villain, hero, main villain, hero, main villain, and this is Aquaman's main villain, so it's interesting. Although I guess maybe they're going to do Orm or something like that. I don't know.
See, Aquaman is a complete. He is.
And that's going to be true for most people.
One of the books I've got no. He was always a really lame looking one. I mean, obviously they sort of updated a little bit, so he looks a little. The guy from like Frontier's doing it, so it looks a lot more interesting. But Aquaman always looked a bit sort of naff to me, so I know zero about him at all. It's like Red. Yeah, carry on.
No, I think it's funny that you identify him as the character from Frontier rather than the character from Game of Thrones, which is where most people are going to know him from.
I've only watched a couple of episodes of Game of Thrones, so yeah. So it's that thing of, for me, it's like even Red Hood. I only know him from the recent Batman Arkham game. That's the only place I knew him from. So there's that crossover from my point of view, but he's relatively kind of a new character to me.
He's certainly an interesting choice because he is one of the former Robins. I'm looking at the image. They're definitely using the Jason Todd version. But the character has such a weird history. He was originally the Joker, and his helmet was literally just like a dome that was pure red, and it looked really stupid. So I'm glad they're going with this look instead. But he's definitely a weird choice for a DLC character.
They definitely have not gone. It's like because I would maybe put myself in that like casual DC. I've been a fan of Batman and Superman since I could even far back as remember of. That's always been a mainstay. But that's DC's kind of the one, TV shows and the movies and stuff. But they've really, I feel like they've gone a little bit too deep into comic books. Rather, in some ways, it would have, give us like Green Arrow or something like that would have been made more sense to me to kind of get you to be a part of my money. These characters actually are less likely to get me to, because obviously comic book fans are slightly different.
Yeah, I was thinking this too. It's one of those kind of balancing acts that they've got to do. They've got to say, in the main game, you've got to have the characters that you identify. If they'd made Batman DLC, people would have just like wanted to rip their heads off. You want to make DLC characters that people want to play. But you also want to make sure that they're not like the super important characters who have to be in the game. So I think they went a little too far into the, these are characters for fans. These are characters that, who've been following DC for a while, who know who these characters are. But casual fans, I think they're actually trying to hook in casual fans with the Mortal Kombat characters rather than with the DC characters.
Yeah,
so.
I actually, to be honest, it probably would work more because I think I'd be more likely to buy Raiden and Sub-Zero than Starfire or the big Mantis bloke, because it's that thing of I probably will more likely to do that. But as far as I am really looking forward to, we're literally like 2 weeks away from the release. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. I'm looking forward to that story mode, and so that's. But in some ways, I'm looking at this now going, well, actually, the DLC might have actually just saved me some money because I decided not to go. And the Ultimate Edition was quite hard to pick up versions of, and I'm not buying the PlayStation Store version, because it's like a £90 game, whereas I got the standard version for like £34. It's like that's a big jump for 9 characters, which I didn't know anything about.
Yeah, and the fact that we can guess at 2 of the characters based on their silhouette. The other ones are kind of generic. At least one woman, one who looks like Darkseid, but I'm not sure who that is. And then 2 generic male silhouettes. You want me to buy a season pass, you have to let me know what I'm getting in the season pass. And it's become increasingly obscure what you get in the season pass. And I think the consumer backlash is going to hit them eventually. Not this year. No. I don't think it's going to go full backlash this year, but I think by the end of the year, people are going to be fed up with it. I think Battlefront 1 started this with you're more than doubling the price of the game kind of thing without telling us what's in it. Yeah. And I think by the next couple of years, we're going to see a major overhaul of how season passes are handled. Yeah,
it's like I said, it's I don't have a problem with DLC. In some way, it's the way of only really getting the game up to where the price should have been. To include everything, but like I said, for this pack here, I'm kind of very lukewarm on it. The 3 that they've announced, I've only like 1 of the 3. But what do you guys think at home? Let us know in the comments below, or get in touch with us on the different social medias. You can find us on all the different video and audio platforms, including the YouTube, VidMe, and Twitch. You can also find us on the audio platforms such as Stitcher and iTunes, etc. So you can find James over at heroiclegacy.com, and you can also find him on Twitter at VagabondPete. So if you're into your comic books, there's some some good reviews and sort of information and stuff over there about that, so you do want to check them out. And we shall see you guys in another episode. So later.